Alright, so late video number 2. So this time I'm talking about how to finish. And I don't really think there's anything appropriate that could be said about that because when I first read the topic, I was confused because it nothing good came to mind, and I suppose I blame work and being tired from classes and whatever, but no more excuses. In terms of finishing for writing, I always have to put on good music. So I'm always updating my music library to make sure that I just have a ridiculously large number of songs in the playlist to give myself inspiration, whether it's a bunch of songs specifically for a story and the one I'm working on, or to put me in a certain mood to write in, or whatever. But in doing that, I generally give myself some type of deadline. So, for example, to write my post apocalyptic work for NaNoWriMo, I obviously have to have a lot of the plotting and general structure of everything done by maybe October. Because if I have it done by October, that means I can read through it, I can really get to know it, I can start to explore things that aren't the plot, things that don't have to do with the plot. Because, yes, as long as I know how to get from point A to point Z, and it occurs to me that this is going to be horribly backwards, so point A to point Z, then everything else in between can grow organically in the story. But as long as I have maybe a couple of key points throughout, then I can basically figure out from there what to do, and it gives me time to work in character development and romance, if there is any, and little things like that. Perhaps flesh out characters that are in the support cast, or whatever. But by giving yourself a deadline, you can gauge if you need to amp up in what you're doing and your devotion to it, or perhaps if you're feeling like you're working too hard, then you can ramp down a little bit. The other thing is perhaps give yourself a reward, because giving yourself a deadline and then following it up with a reward always feels better. For example, when I was taking my 2 months off of work a while back, I actually worked through one of my previous NaNoWriMos because I'm in the process of rewriting. So I looked through my first draft, or zero draft because I wrote it during NaNoWriMo, and I started just cataloging every scene in a spiral notebook. That way, when I'm really looking through what scenes are important and which ones are entirely filler, I already know which ones are true turning points or very, very poignant to the novel. So then I can pick those out and rehash them or do whatever needs to be done for them. But in doing so, I gave myself a reward, i.e., something like treating myself out to dinner with friends, or going to a party, or food. Not that I always starve myself in order to get myself more motivated, but sometimes encouraging myself with some really good food always works. Always, in my case at least. I don't know about everybody else, but food is always a big winner for me. And I know other times in the past, and look, another text message. Other times in the past, I've done video games, books. You get the idea. So, at least for me, that's how I would recommend working on making sure you finish in you're writing, whether it's a short story, novel, fan fiction, whatever. Give yourself a deadline, reward yourself. Keep yourself motivated no matter what in order to get yourself finished. So, don't forget to be awesome. Oh, another text message. And I'll talk to you all next week.